Welcome to Amazing Dinosaurs. I'm Dave, and this is a T-Rex versus T-Rex collection from Jurassic World. And we're going to be checking out over 30 Jurassic World T-Rexes and facing them off against each other. First, let's check out the T-Rexes that are already set up. This first one is my oldest super colossal T-Rex figure. It is a custom colored green camo T-Rex. And best of all, it's even got some battle damage painted all over its body. On the right side is another super colossal T-Rex. This one is custom colored a gray-blue color. You can see that it has the battle damage on its body, but it is not painted. And the coolest part of this figure is its bright red eyes and its dark gray teeth. The next T-Rex figure on this face-off is the new Dino Trackers T-Rex. This T-Rex comes in the brand new tan coloring with the yellow and gray detailing on the top. It's got the headpiece and an attack feature. Now let's set this one up on the left side right here, right under the super colossal T-Rex. The next T-Rex is the new Legacy Collection T-Rex in the dark green coloring. It's got some gray and yellow too, and it has the button at the top of its head for the chomping action. And we're gonna put this figure on the right side underneath this super colossal figure. This next figure is the Hammond Collection T-Rex. This is one of my most detailed and posable T-Rex figures. It's got an amazingly detailed face. It even has some rubber on the inside of its mouth for added realism. And the dark speckled paint job over its whole body is a really nice feature. So let's add this to the left side. Next up is the brand new 93 Jurassic Park edition red T-Rex. Aside from its really cool coloring and its soft skin, this T-Rex actually has a pretty unique feature for these smaller dinosaurs. It actually has a stomach compartment so that you can feed it smaller dinosaurs. And for the most part, all these other smaller dinosaurs don't have that feature. That's pretty cool. And we're gonna put this one on the right side. The next awesome T-Rex figure from Jurassic World is this battle damage T-Rex. This one comes in the orange and brown coloring. As you can see, it has battle damage painted on its tail, its leg, its body, and a little bit on its face. And of course, it has the button at the top of its head for the chomping action too. All right, let's go ahead and put this on the left side over here. Now here's a bigger T-Rex figure. This one is the Jurassic World Dominion figure. And as you can tell, compared to the Legacy Collection, at least right here, this Dominion T-Rex is quite a bit larger. It comes in the dark brown coloring with the black detailing on top, and you can use the tail to wiggle the torso back and forth and open and close the mouth. All right, let's put this one on the right side. All right, next up is another Legacy Collection T-Rex. Although this one is a little bit older than this one. I bought this one very recently, and this one was released quite a long time ago. But it also comes in a dark green coloring with some black detailing on the top. I'd say it's around the same size as the new Legacy Collection figure. And of course, it has the chomping button at the top of its head. Now let's put this figure right here on the front of the left side. Here we've got a very classic looking T-Rex. I think this one might be from Camp Cretaceous, but either way it's from one of the Jurassic World series. This dinosaur is in the soft brown coloring with a little bit of darker coloring along the top and the button on the head for chomping. Now let's put this T-Rex on the right side. Let's see if we can sneak it right next to the Legacy Collection right there. This huge orange T-Rex, I believe, is from the Fallen Kingdom era, and I think is a little bit larger than many of the other figures. At least its torso is bigger. And this T-Rex actually has some pretty unique features. You can use the tail when you press it upwards, it has a chomping action. And when you press the tail downward, it has a roaring pose. That's pretty awesome and pretty unique, and we're gonna put this one on the left side over here. For the right side, we've got another of that same T-Rex over here, but this one is actually a custom colored version of it. So it has the same chomping action and roaring action, but as you can see, it has this really awesome custom camo painting over its whole body. This figure is definitely one of my favorites, and we're gonna place it on the right side right here. This next Jurassic World T-Rex is an Extreme Battle Damage Edition T-Rex. It has some pretty normal coloring with the brown and a little bit of gray detailing on top, but of course the battle damage on the side that you can turn on and off. So it blends right in, and then you can show the battle damage when you want to. Now let's go ahead and put this T-Rex on the left side. For the next T-Rex, I've got this super old Jurassic Park T-Rex. This is the JP29 T-Rex. It also has the real feel skin, and a feature that when you move its tail back and forth, it actually moves its torso too, although it's a little bit old, so it doesn't work quite as well. And we're gonna set this super vintage T-Rex right in the front here, because sadly this is the only way it can sit up now. Here's another pretty rare and vintage T-Rex, although not quite as old as that T-Rex right there. I believe this T-Rex is from the first Jurassic World movie. This Jurassic World T-Rex is actually a hybrid T-Rex. So it looks mostly like a T-Rex, but when you press this button on its back, some spikes pop out of its back and the top of its head. And that is definitely not normal for a T-Rex. Now let's go ahead and put this on the left side right here. For the right side, I've got another bright orange T-Rex with the darker coloring along the top. It features a fully posable body and the button at the top of its head for chomping and roaring. And we're gonna put this one on the right side, way in the back over here. Next up from the Camp Cretaceous toy line is the epic Roarin' T-Rex, one of my favorite T-Rex figures. It has the brown body and a tail that controls the neck and head and the jaw chomping too. Now let's put this over on the left side, right behind this super old T-Rex right here. Next for the right side is this Stomp and Escape T-Rex. It has some pretty normal coloring with the brown and some gray detailing. And it has this huge action button on its back for a massive roaring action. All right, now let's put this over on the right side. This is another custom colored camouflage T-Rex figure, but this one is a bit cooler because it is actually also a battle damaged T-Rex. So it features a fully posable body, you can move the head around, you can pose the mouth however you want, and it has the battle damage that you can turn on and off as you choose. Now let's put this on the left side over here, way in the back. Here is another bright orange T-Rex. I think we actually have another one of these already. So it has all the same features and the jaw chomping action. So I'm gonna put this one on the right side, right next to the other orange one. This Jurassic World T-Rex is the Terran T-Rex, and it's called that because it has two buttons on its back for the special feature. The first is a massive tearing action, where it swings its whole neck around and closes its mouth. And the second button on its back activates a huge tail swinging action. All right, now let's put this one on the left side next to the Camo T-Rex. Here's another pretty old figure from the first Jurassic World movie. This is a custom colored T-Rex that actually used to be pretty similar to this one, but it was tan in color. But you can tell that they're kind of the same body size and shape. And this T-Rex, since it's not a hybrid, does not have spikes coming out of its back, but there is an action button for some jaw chomping action. Let's go ahead and settle this T-Rex down right on the right side here. And you know what? Here is that T-Rex that I was just talking about. This T-Rex used to be this one in coloring. You can see that they're the same size, but I got it custom colored, so it's bright red, and here's the original version in tan coloring. And now we're gonna put this one on the left side next to the hybrid T-Rex right here. Up next is another vintage Jurassic Park T-Rex. This is a juvenile T-Rex, and it has some massive battle damage right on its side. Let's go ahead and set this one down on the right side here. This next T-Rex is the Sound Surge T-Rex. This came out for Jurassic World Dominion, so it's pretty small. You can still open and close its mouth, and it has one button for the sound effects. And we're gonna place this T-Rex on the left side, right over here. Next up, I've got a pretty special one. It comes in an egg and is from Jurassic Park. This is a baby T-Rex figure right here. This one's pretty cool because it's got the marbled eyes, and you can tell it actually has a bandage on its leg too. All right, now we're gonna put this one on the right side. We're just gonna nestle it back way in there. This next Jurassic World figure is a pretty funky one. This is a Gujitsu Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. So it is made of a really gooey substance. Most of its body is like rubber almost. And on the inside of its body, if I can squeeze it hard enough, you can actually see that there are some bones. It must be digesting something inside of its stomach. So let's put this one on the left side right here. This next figure is the Funko Pop Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex. You can see it comes on a stand. It has the huge classic head and the black eyes, and we're gonna put this one on the right side here. Next up is a small, kind of cute looking T-Rex. I think this one might be from Camp Cretaceous. It has the bright orange body and actually a little spinning dial on its back here for the chomping action. All right, let's put this one on the left side here. I've got a smaller T-Rex here. This one is another vintage Jurassic Park T-Rex. It is a juvenile T-Rex with a broken bone feature right there. You can see that you can kind of bend its leg off. Plus, it's pretty unique in coloring. It's almost like a purple color with the brown on the sides. So now let's put this on the right side here. And finally, and even smaller, is this juvenile T-Rex in the bright green coloring with some dark green on the top and on the leg. And it has an action that when you press down on its tail, it chomps its jaw shut. And I believe that this baby T-Rex actually came as a set with this Legacy Collection T-Rex. So we're gonna put them side by side. Now, which team of T-Rexes do you think would win in a battle? The left side or the right side? Let me know in the comments below. Amazing Dinosaurs, I'm Dave, and this is a collection of Jurassic World figures versus their custom repainted versions. Starting with the biggest figures, I've got a super colossal T-Rex figure right here in the original orange painting. You see it's got yellow eyes, and over on the left side here, I've got the custom painted version. This is now a bright red T-Rex with yellow striping and black along the top. Next, I've also got the super colossal Velociraptor blue figure with the green coloring and the blue stripe down the side. And this figure looks pretty similar to the movie. And if we move over to the left side here, this is the custom repainted version, now painted to look like an Endoraptor. You can see it's got the black body with now the gold stripe running down its side. For the next original figure, we've got the mighty Indominus Rex figure from Camp Cretaceous. It has an action feature on its tail that moves its jaw open and closed, as well as a button on its back for slashing its claws. We're gonna put this original figure on the right side with the other originals, and we're gonna grab the custom painted version of that Indominus Rex right here. This repainted figure is now purple and blue. It's got some orange stripes and really looks like a very crazy looking dinosaur. Very different compared to the original version. So we're gonna put that over here on the left side with the repainted super colossal figures. And I've actually got another custom colored Indominus Rex figure right here. This figure I bought quite recently and it is in the camo green coloring. And my favorite part is that it has a bunch of blood coloring in its mouth. So we're gonna put this on the custom repainted side to face off with the original versions. Next is the Camp Cretaceous Spinosaurus figure. This figure is the original version, comes in the brown with the darker brown and the red spine and face. And it has an action button on its head to open and close the jaw. Now let's put this on the original side and let's check out the repainted version right here. Now this Spinosaurus is also brown colored for the most part, like the original version over there, but its red is a whole lot darker and it has this blue along its spine, as well as a lot more detailing and different shades of brown all over its body. So we're gonna put this Spinosaurus on the custom repainted side. Next up is this huge T-Rex figure that I believe is from the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom movie. It has a really cool chomping action when you press its tail upwards, as well as a roaring action as well. Plus you can move its torso around by moving the tail. So we're gonna put this one on the original side right over here. And now we're gonna check out the custom repainted version. It is now in a camouflage coloring, which is one of my favorite colorings for these dinosaur figures. And of course this figure too has the really cool chomping action as well as the roaring action. Now let's go ahead and put this dinosaur on the custom repainted side. The next dinosaur is this massive Terran T-Rex figure. This is the original version and it has the brown on the sides with the darker brown on top and two action buttons on its back. One for that massive tearing action and the other button for a huge tail swinging action. Now let's put this T-Rex over here on the original side, and let's check out the custom repainted version. And here it is. It still has that brown coloring, although it's a lot darker, but the coolest part of this custom repainting is that they colored in the battle damage slashes on its legs and on its torso, and overall I think looks a whole lot more realistic. And don't forget, it has that same awesome tearing action too. And now we're gonna put this over here on the custom colored side. The next dinosaur in this Versus collection is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex. This originally colored version is brown, it has some gray detailing along the top, and it has a single action button on its back for a massive roaring action. Alright, now let's put this over here on the original side. And now let's check out the repainted version. And this one I actually repainted myself. And I think I made it look quite a bit different. It's now a camo green color. You can see the green on its side, and it fades to a brown on the top. It still has the yellow eyes like the original version, although you notice that the pupils on this one are circle, and I decided to go with the long and narrow pupils. And of course it has that awesome huge roaring action as well. Alright, and this one goes right over here on the custom repaint side. The next dinosaur is this Jurassic World Dominion Tyrannosaurus Rex figure with the battle damage on the side that you can turn on and off. And it comes in a darker brown, almost an orange color compared to many of these other T-Rexes. So we're gonna put this on the original side right over here. And here is the custom repainted version of that Jurassic World Dominion dinosaur, now in a camouflage color. You can see it's got tan striping along the top, some bright green on the sides, and it's still got that battle damage on the side that you can turn on and off. So let's go ahead and put this on the custom repainted side. Next is another classic brown T-Rex with a little bit of darker brown coloring on the top. This is the original coloring, and it has a button at the top of its head for the chomping and roaring. So let's put this on the original side right here. And here is the custom repainted version. Totally different looking. Look at that bright red with that glowing yellow along the black. Pretty similar actually to the super colossal version that I have up here. And of course this one too has the jaw chomping action. And look, even the inside of its mouth is like a dark black red color. So let's set this one on the custom colored side to face off with its original version right there. Next up is an older T-Rex figure from the first Jurassic World movie, and this one is made by Hasbro. It's a tan T-Rex, quite a bit smaller than many of the newer figures here, and it has a single button on its back for a jaw-chomping action. So let's go ahead and put this on the original side here. And now let's check out the custom repainted version here. It is now in a bright red coloring with black spots all over its body and a bright green underbelly. Of course, it has the same button for that same jaw-chomping action. So now we're gonna put this on the repaint side over here, directly opposite of its original version. Next is a Pyroraptor from Jurassic World Dominion. This is a basic figure, but it still has some pretty cool coloring. It's got the black along the back, you can see feather texturing all over, and the red on the rest of its body. We're gonna put this on the original side here. And now let's check out the repainted version. And this one is a whole lot brighter. You can see that it's still got plenty of red on its body, but now it also has some blue on its leg, on the top of its head, and the feathers on the very top of its head are colored as well. Not very realistic looking, but pretty cool overall. So we're gonna put this on the repainted version over here. I've got another raptor figure to check out. This is an Atrociraptor figure. And just like in the movie, it is the classic white with brown striping. And this figure is a basic version as well, so there is no action button. And we're gonna go ahead and put it on the right side alongside all the other original figures. Now it's time to check out the custom repainted version of that figure. This version is now super bright yellow, it's got some orange, and then the brown on the top, and the coolest part are these dark red eyes. So let's put this figure on the custom repainted side right over here. Next up for the originals, we've got an herbivore. This is a Sinoceratops, and this original version comes in the green coloring with some tan striping. It's got some bright orange along its face, and one single action button on its back for a head moving action. Now let's put this figure on the original side, and here is the custom repainted version. check it out. It is now in brown coloring. It has some black circles on its back, and instead of the orange like the original version, it has bright purple along the front of its frill. This figure's pretty cool looking and overall pretty realistic, I think. So we're gonna put this on the custom repainted side. Next up is another four-legged dinosaur. This is the Triceratops, I believe from Jurassic World Dominion. It's got some dark green coloring on the back, some swamp green coloring on the front, and some bright orange on its frill. And as you can hear, it has some sound effects and a head ramming action when you press down on its body. So we're gonna go ahead and put this Triceratops figure way in the back over here. And now here is the custom repainted version. It is now in a bright gray coloring along the sides and a darker gray along the top. It has these red spikes all along the top of its frill and some dark green eyes. And we're gonna put this Triceratops on the left side to face off right next to its original version. Next up for the original side is this Sarcosuchus figure. This is a really long dinosaur. It's got some bright blue on the sides with some orange and red, and then the purple on the top. Plus it has an action button that when you move its tail, it moves its head, as well as a chomping button on its tail too. Now let's go ahead and put this on the original side here and check out the repainted version. This Sarcosuchus figure, obviously the exact same as this one, except it is a bright green color on the sides. It has a brown coloring along the top. I think this coloring would make it blend into the jungle a whole lot more. And of course it has the same chomping action and the ability to move its head around too. And we're gonna put this one right here on the left side. Now let's check out this figure from the Hammond collection. This is a Baryonyx figure. It has some pretty classic coloring with the gray on the sides and then the white that is outlining the dark blue along the top. And since this is the Hammond collection figure, it is superposable all over its body. So now let's put this on the original side right here. And let's check out the repainted version of that Baryonyx, now actually made to look like a Spinosaurus. So just like the Spinosauruses that we saw earlier, it has the brown side and then the red spine on the top with the blue circles on its spine. And just like the original version here, it of course is superposable. So now let's put this right here on the custom repainted side. On Amazing Dinosaurs is a T-Rex versus I-Rex collection, and I've got a bin overflowing with T-Rexes and I-Rexes here. Plus, I've got one of the new dino trackers right here that we'll check out as well. Let's get started with these super colossal figures. This is the Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex with the dark brown coloring and the black detailing along its body. The other super colossal T-Rex I have selected for this collection is a custom colored one. Check out this light blue coloring and the dark red eyes. And this T-Rex figure is definitely a lot older than the Dominion T-Rex figure. And we're gonna stand them together on the T-Rex side. And now for the I-Rex side. This is the super colossal I-Rex figure. I believe was released as part of Camp Cretaceous. It's got a whole lot more bumps and texturing compared to the T-Rex figures, and I love its teeth. And that figure is gonna go over here on the I-Rex side. And next up, why don't we open up the brand new Dino Trackers Indominus Rex. Now this new I-Rex figure is very interesting. It's actually quite a bit smaller than many of my other I-Rex figures. You can see the barcode scanner right there for the app, so you can check that out on your phone. Of course, it's still got the same coloring and detailing as many of the other I-Rex figures, but this one has a feature that I don't know I've ever seen before. It has the button on its tail to activate the chomping. But check that out, there's some glowing green lights inside. That's pretty cool. So now let's set this on the I-Rex side, right in front of the Super Colossal. Now let's go over here to our bin and grab another T-Rex. We're first gonna go with this one. I believe this is a Camp Cretaceous battle damage T-Rex. They actually released another one for Jurassic World Dominion that's pretty similar, other than it has different coloring. But these figures are pretty cool because they've got the huge battle damage on the side that you can turn on and off with the click of a button. That's pretty cool. And we're gonna place this right underneath the Dominion T-Rex. Now back to the I-Rexes, we're gonna grab this camouflage I-Rex one. This one looks pretty wild. Now this one is actually a custom colored I-Rex. So all this coloring you can see here was done in detail by someone that I bought from on eBay. Even the blood on its mouth too. That's pretty awesome. Now let's find a place for it on the I-Rex side. How about way there in the back? There we go. Now back to the T-Rexes, we're gonna go with this big figure. This is the Terran T-Rex. This Jurassic World T-Rex has the classic brown coloring over most of its body and a slightly lighter underbelly. You can see it's got some hidden battle damage along its face. It looks like those are kind of scars. That's pretty cool. But the special feature of this figure is the button on its back, which causes a huge tearing action. And not only that, but there's another button on its back to swing the tail back and forth too. So now let's set this on the T-Rex side, and we're gonna have it go way in the back over here. And this T-Rex is really face to face with that I-Rex figure. Next, let's grab this huge I-Rex figure right here. This is the Battle Damage Edition I-Rex. Check out the size difference between this one and the Dino Tracker I-Rex that I just bought. This one might be twice the size of that one. And it's still got all the cool texturing and spikes and detailing. Plus it has the battle damage on its side that you can turn on and off. Now let's set this one in the back here, right next to the Super Colossal I-Rex. For the T-Rexes, we're gonna go with the Jurassic World Dominion version. Now this T-Rex figure looks very similar to the Dominion Super Colossal figure right here. You can tell that this was the color theme that they were going for that film. And like many other T-Rex figures, it has the tail that can move the torso around, as well as open and close the jaw. We're gonna put this one right next to the older Super Colossal T-Rex. Let's dive back in here. This other giant T-Rex figure is one of the classic I-Rexes. This Jurassic World figure is pretty similar to the battle damage one way back here, except that it doesn't have the battle damage on the side. Instead, it has a button right on its back used for slashing its claws. Plus, of course, you can use the button on the tail to activate the jaw. And we're gonna set this one right next to the battle damage I-Rex. This is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex from Jurassic World. And this figure's built a little bit differently than a lot of the other T-Rex figures. You can see that its legs actually have different joints, as well as this big joint right in its torso. And I'll show you what that does. So it has this really cool action where it lifts up its head to roar. And the other cool part is that you can actually twist the tail to get stomping actions with sound effects. So that's why those weird looking joints are right there. And of course, this T-Rex figure is gonna go on the T-Rex side. This next one is a pretty special I-Rex figure. This is a hybrid edition I-Rex. Now this Jurassic World figure actually came out for the first Jurassic World movie and was made by Hasbro instead of Mattel, who makes many of the newer figures now. It's got some crazy coloring on its arms and its underbelly and feet, and that bright red along its back and its head too. Plus there's a hidden action button on its side that you can press to activate more spikes on its back. So now let's set this on the I-Rex side, right on the front lines. Now right here is that Jurassic World Dominion battle damage T-Rex that I was telling you about earlier. Now let's compare it to the earlier version that they released, and they're pretty similar in shape and size. I wouldn't be surprised if they're actually the exact same figure, but with different coloring. And this Dominion version is a much more like orange-brown coloring over all of its body, but it's still got the battle damage on its side. Now let's set up this T-Rex right next to the others. This next I-Rex figure is pretty unusual actually. It looks totally different than many of the other figures. This figure is still made by Mattel, but I believe it's from the Imaginext line. So it looks to be like a figure for a slightly younger audience. But it has one of the most unique attack actions that I've ever seen. When you move its tail up and down, it actually swings its torso in all sorts of directions. That's pretty cool. That is very unique too. So let's go ahead and set it down on the I-Rex side. This T-Rex figure is another extreme damage T-Rex, but it is not like the others. And that's because it does not have the battle damage opening on the side that you can press a button, but rather it has this painting all over its body for the battle damage. And other than that, it has a very orange coloring with the darker brown on top. And let's set it in the back here next to the Dominion T-Rex. This I-Rex figure is another one made by Hasbro for the first Jurassic World movie. And it sure is quite a bit different. First off, it's got this real feel skin along its neck and on the top of its head. And instead of having a chomping button on its tail, you can actually move its arm to open and close its mouth. And you can kind of tell on its back that it has lights underneath whenever you move its arm, but it's pretty faint, so you can't really tell when it's light out. But nonetheless, let's set it down on the I-Rex side here. For the T-Rex side, we're gonna go with another figure that was released for the first Jurassic World movie, made by Hasbro. This smaller T-Rex figure is a light tan color, much lighter than the Dominion damaged T-Rex back there. And it looks pretty different in design too. It has a much longer head, a smaller body, and it has a single action button on its back for the chomping action. Now this figure is pretty old, so it doesn't work as well, but we're gonna put it right next to the extreme battle damage T-Rex on this side. Up next, we've got the Feeding Frenzy Indominus Rex figure. This figure is a whole lot smaller than a lot of the Indominus Rex figures we've seen so far, but it still has a pretty large face for how small its body is. And it's got some unique special features. First, there's this button on its nose that you can get some sound effects from. Then you can move its tail to open up its mouth. Then you can feed this Indominus Rex by pressing down on its mouth, and it'll chomp its mouth closed. Now let's set this I-Rex right on the front lines against the T-Rexes. This next figure is a classic T-Rex, I think was released for the second Jurassic World movie, which is Fallen Kingdom. It's got the classic brown body with a darker top and a button at the top of its head for the chomping and roaring action. And we're gonna put this guy right on the edge because we're running out of space for all these T-Rexes. This is the Sound Surge Indominus Rex figure released for Jurassic World Dominion. It's pretty basic in design. It has the same coloring as all the rest, but its one big feature is that it has this speaker on its side and this button on the top for the sound effects. Let's place this dino right behind the Feeding Frenzy I-Rex. And I've actually got the Sound Surge edition for the T-Rex as well. It's actually a little bit smaller than the I-Rex figure, but it still has the button on its top for the sound effects. And we're gonna place this one on the front lines of the T-Rex side. This next figure is an even smaller I-Rex figure. This is from the first Jurassic World movie as well. It has some battle damage on its side that you can open and close, and you can use the tail on this figure to move the head and chomp its mouth. Now let's place this kind of in the back for the I-Rex side. We're getting down to just a few T-Rexes left. This is a Lego T-Rex figure for Jurassic World. It has kind of similar coloring compared to the Jurassic World regular figures with the brown, and it's got some darker brown detailing along its body. So why don't we place this right up front here next to the Sound Surge T-Rex. I've also got the Lego I-Rex figure. This one, interestingly, is actually a similar color to the Lego T-Rex over here instead of the classic gray coloring for the I-Rex. I think that makes it pretty cool. Plus, it has some really cool teeth. They're pretty unique, I think. Check that out compared to the T-Rex over here. And here's the I-Rex's teeth. And our next T-Rex figure is a super small green T-Rex figure from the first Jurassic World movie. It's got a pretty large face for its size. It has some battle damage right on the side of its body, and you can use the tail to chomp the head and move the head back and forth too. Let's set this up right next to the Lego T-Rex. And here is our final I-Rex. This, I believe, is the Bite and Thrash Indominus Rex. Now, similar to this T-Rex that we just saw a moment ago, this one has the battle damage right on the side, and you can use the tail to move the head up and down and chomp the jaw. And we're actually gonna leave this figure right here, right in front of the Lego I-Rex. And here is our final figure of this collection. It is a juvenile T-Rex figure. It has a light green body with a darker brown accenting on its back, and you can use the tail to chomp the mouth open and closed, which is pretty cool considering how small this figure is. Now the full collection is set up. Who do you think would win in this battle? The T-Rexes or the I-Rexes? Everyone, I'm Dave, and this is the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out a Raptor versus T-Rex collection, and I've got a ton more T-Rexes and Raptors over here, plus some new ones that we'll be opening up shortly. But first, let's check out these super colossal figures. This is Velociraptor Blue in this super colossal form. It's got the iconic blue stripe and the classic raptor teeth. Right next to that is an Atrociraptor figure from Jurassic World Dominion. It's colored white and it has some brown striping on its body and some very similar teeth. And the last super colossal raptor is this new Indoraptor figure, and it is one of my favorites for sure. Like Velociraptor Blue, it has a stripe down its side, but it is a gold stripe, and I really love how different its teeth are compared to the other raptors. Moving over to the T-Rex side, this is the super colossal T-Rex from Jurassic World Dominion. It has the brown colored body and totally different teeth compared to the raptors. Right next to that is a custom colored T-Rex that I've had for a really long time. It is a light blue-gray color. It has some dark red eyes and some sharper teeth, I think, compared to the Dominion T-Rex. And finally, there is another custom colored T-Rex here. This one is the Fire T-Rex. It's got red, yellow, and black all over its body. Its eyes actually do not have any pupils, and overall is just a really cool looking dinosaur. And now let's check out these new sets that I got. This first one is the Jurassic World Legacy Collection Tyrannosaurus Ambush Pack. Here is the Jeep that comes in this set. It is a camo Jeep. It's got the barricaded windows, and at the top is Dr. Ian Malcolm. But even better than that is this new T-Rex with new painting. I don't have another T-Rex with this color design on it. Looks to be mostly a dark green color. It has some gray and yellow accenting on the top of its back. And of course, it has the button at the top of its head for chomping and roaring. Now let's check out the new Dino Trackers Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. And here it is, an entirely new T-Rex figure in my collection. Once again, this one has totally new coloring. It's got some brown striping with an almost yellow color along the top. And it has this headpiece that you can fit it onto its face. And now it's kind of like an eyepiece or something like that. And this figure actually has a new attack button on its back. Let's check it out. So it's like a sideways chomping action with sound effects. That's pretty cool. Now let's get these new T-Rex figures set up on the T-Rex side. And now let's move on to our next figures. So next we're gonna grab a raptor. Why don't we go with the largest one here? This is a Pyroraptor figure. And this one's pretty special because it actually is battery powered and you can actually play with it and it walks around and stuff. So let me turn on the power. Let's see it. You can tap it on the head here, and it'll respond to you, or underneath the chin as well. That's a pretty cool and pretty unique figure. We're gonna set it over here on the raptor side. Now it's back to the T-Rexes. Let's check out this epic roaring T-Rex from Camp Cretaceous. This figure is a little bit larger than the other T-Rexes that I've shown so far, and it has an attack button on its tail for roaring and chomping and moving the head around. And let's get this T-Rex on the T-Rex side right there. Back to the Raptors, let's go with this awesome Endoraptor figure. As you can tell, this figure is way smaller than the super colossal Endoraptor figure, but I'm still a pretty big fan of it. It's got this cool blue reflective coloring over its entire body. So let's go ahead and set it up underneath the super colossal Raptors. Next up for the T-Rexes, I've got the new 93 Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This figure was released as part of the 30th anniversary for Jurassic Park and looks very similar to the vintage one that they released all those years ago. It's even got the real feel skin texture too. Now let's set it up to face off against the Raptors on the T-Rex side. Let's see, what raptor should we go with next? Why don't we go with this Velociraptor blue figure? This is another pretty unique Velociraptor figure. You can see that it's built quite a bit differently and it has these really cool movements. First, it has a snapping action with sound effects. You can move its tail around, you can move its legs, and really make it look super lifelike. It's really cool. And so let's set this over on the Raptor side, right underneath the super colossal Indoraptor. For the T-Rexes, I've got a classic brown T-Rex figure. This figure features a fully posable body and the button at the top of its head for snapping its jaw open and closed. And so let's set this over here, right underneath this Dominion super colossal figure. Next, let's grab this Mega Raptor figure. This figure was released for Jurassic World Dominion. It features some really cool red and dark blue coloring. It has a ton of cool spikes on its back and a chomping action. And let's set it up right over here, right in front of the little Indoraptor. Next, let's go with a huge Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex. And I think this figure is a little bit larger than almost all of these other T-Rex figures. It has a much larger torso, and it actually has a button on its back used for a huge roaring and chomping action. All right, now let's see if we can get this T-Rex lined up on the T-Rex side. Looks like he's standing a little closer to the Raptors. For the Raptors, let's grab this Amber Collection Velociraptor figure. These Amber Collection figures are really cool because of their unique coloring and because of how posable they are. You can move practically every limb in this Raptor as it would in real life. And now we're gonna set this right back here for the Raptor side. And back for the T-Rexes, let's grab this fiery red T-Rex. This T-Rex also has the yellow, black, and red coloring, very similar to the super colossal figure right here, but it's a bit more reflective and shiny overall. And it features a fully posable body and the button at the top of its head for chomping. And we're gonna set this one right next to the other Fire T-Rex, right above it. Now let's grab this other Velociraptor blue figure. Looks like we have 3 Velociraptor blues in this collection so far. We first had the super colossal version, then we had this little one over here, and now here is, I believe, the smallest version in this collection. Now this figure is a basic version, so it's a bit cheaper than many of these other figures, but it doesn't have an attack button. You can only move its tail, its legs, and its arm. But overall, still pretty cool. And now let's set this in line over on the Raptor side here. This next T-Rex here is another Legacy Collection T-Rex, I believe. So here is the older Legacy Collection, and here is the newer version that we just opened up at the beginning of the video. And this version too has some dark green coloring, although it just has some black striping on the top of its body, but it still has the button on its head for chomping and roaring. Now why don't we go ahead and set it up right in front of the other Legacy Collection T-Rex. So we got the 2 green T-Rexes right next to each other. Here's another basic figure for the Raptor side. This is a Pyroraptor from Jurassic World Dominion. Now it's pretty similar in shape and size to the Velociraptor blue figure that we saw earlier from the basic series, but it has some pretty cool feather texturing on its arms, on its body, and on the top of its head too. So let's go ahead and set this up right next to the Velociraptor blue figure. Here is the Terran T-Rex figure. This one is a massive Tyrannosaurus Rex. It still has the classic brown coloring on its body, but it has 2 big action buttons on its back. The first operates the huge Terran action. Check that out, it twists its whole neck and chomps its jaw shut. And the second button swings the tail back and forth. Probably knock out some raptors with that swing. All right, let's see if we've got more space for this Terran T-Rex. It's getting pretty cramped over here on the T-Rex side. This next raptor is a quite old Velociraptor figure from the first Jurassic World movie. This figure was actually made by Hasbro instead of Mattel, who made many of these newer figures over here. And you know, overall, it's a pretty basic figure. You can only move the legs and the arms a little bit, but sadly, there's no chomping or attack action. But nonetheless, we'll still set it up right over here on the raptor side. Here we've got a battle damaged T-Rex figure. This T-Rex comes in the orange-brown coloring, and you can see that it has battle damage painted all over its body and even some on its face. Plus, it has the button for chomping and roaring at the top of its head. Let's see, oh boy, where are we gonna fit this T-Rex? And we can put him right up front, right here. For the Velociraptor side, we're gonna go with this basic Atrociraptor figure. This figure is much like the other basic figures that we saw in that you can move its tail, its legs, and its arms, but it doesn't have any actions. But it's still a pretty cool piece. I love the bright red eyes, and it has similar painting to the super colossal Atrociraptor that I've got right up there. And we'll go ahead and put this Atrociraptor right next to the other basic raptor figures. Now here is another super old Jurassic World figure, I believe from the first movie once again, which means that this figure I believe was made by Hasbro instead of Mattel, and this whole T-Rex was actually custom colored as well. So let's put this little T-Rex right in here. I think we've got a little space back here. There we go. And here are all the final figures for this collection, so I'm just gonna bring them all over here in a pile. Let's first get this Amber Collection Velociraptor set up. It has some really cool teal coloring with spots all over, and just like all the other Amber Collection, is super posable. And let's place it down right here at the edge of the line. Let's set up a few more raptors over here while we're at it. Here is a smaller gray and yellow Velociraptor. It's very small, so there's no action button, but it's still pretty posable. And we're gonna place this right over here. Next is this red and green Velociraptor, and it has spring-loaded legs, so you can actually press down and send it flying into the air. And we'll set that one up right here. Now I've got two more Velociraptors right here. This one is the newer one. I believe it's part of the Dino Tracker series, and it actually does have an attack button for moving its head up and down. And we're gonna set this one back here. And then this Velociraptor is a more clay red or kind of a brown color, and it is a battle damage edition Atrociraptor. So you can see a button right there and the battle damage on its side. You can click on and off. And we're gonna set this raptor up right over here on the edge of the line. But let's not forget our last and smallest T-Rex of the collection. This is the Sound Surge T-Rex, and it has the classic brown coloring all over its body with some gray detailing on the top of its head. And of course, the sound effects that you can turn on with the button. And so finally, let's place this on the T-Rex side, right in front of the Velociraptors. And that is the full collection. Which side do you think would win in a battle? The Raptors or the T-Rexes? Let me know in the comments below. Amazing Dinosaurs is a T-Rex versus T-Rex collection. And we're gonna be facing them off against each other, right side versus the left side. And as an extra bonus, I've got a new custom colored T-Rex that I just ordered that we'll be checking out in a little bit. Let's get started with the biggest T-Rex figures. This one is a custom colored super colossal T-Rex. This is one of my most brightly colored T-Rexes. This one is super cool and will be the first on the right side. Over here, we've got another super colossal T-Rex. I believe this one is from Camp Cretaceous. It has the bright orange sides with the brown on top and the lighter underbelly. So let's place this on the left side over here. Going back to the right side, let's grab this super colossal Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex. This version of the super colossal T-Rex features some of the darkest coloring that any of my T-Rex figures have. And let's put this one on the right side. And for our final super colossal T-Rex is another custom colored one. This one is a light blue-gray color all over and it has some bright red eyes. I think this figure actually used to be the same color as this one right here. So let's put this figure on the left side to face off. There are our super colossal figures. Now let's move on to the rest of the smaller figures. This T-Rex is the Terran T-Rex. It has a button on its back that you can use for a really cool tearing action. It swings its entire neck around and closes its mouth. And not only that, but it also has a button to swing its tail back and forth too. All right, what team should we put this one on? Let's put it on the right side team. Up next is the Hammond Collection T-Rex. This figure came out pretty recently. It features much more detailed coloring and texturing, plus you can move its body in all sorts of different directions. Now let's put this Hammond Collection T-Rex on the left team. Here is the epic Roarin' T-Rex figure from Camp Cretaceous. This figure is one of my favorite T-Rexes because of its realistic coloring, and it actually has a roar sound effects with vibration. That is battery operated. That's pretty cool. And we're gonna place this one on the right team. For the left team, we're gonna go with the smaller Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex. You can see that compared to the super colossal version, it's actually quite similar with the black on top and the dark brown on the sides and the yellow eyes, but obviously just a whole lot smaller. And we're gonna place this one actually on the left team. This T-Rex is another custom-colored Tyrannosaurus Rex figure from Jurassic World, and this one features some really cool camouflage coloring all over its body. And you can even move the tail for a jaw-snapping action and for a roaring action too. Now let's put this on the right team for the face-off. Now back to our bin, what one should we grab next? Let's go for this bright orange one. This looks to be like a battle-damaged Tyrannosaurus Rex. It has some painted slashes on its neck and on its chin, as well as on its leg and its torso. And this seems to be a little bit smaller than a lot of these figures. And we're gonna go ahead and put this on the left team. Wow, look at that size difference between this one and the Hammond Collection T-Rex. For the right side, we're gonna go with this other battle-damaged T-Rex, but instead of painted battle damage, it actually has an activated battle damage slash right there that you can turn on and off. It's also interesting that this figure is a much darker orange than that battle damage T-Rex. And we're gonna put this one on the right team. Next up, we've got a larger T-Rex figure. This is the Stomp and Escape T-Rex. And this T-Rex figure actually came with this cage that you put on its face. And once it's on there, you can actually break free from it. That is really cool, and it's probably one of my favorite features. And we're gonna place this T-Rex on the left team. Right over here is another super brightly custom colored T-Rex figure. This T-Rex is another fiery red color, and it actually has very similar design to this super colossal T-Rex right over here. You can see all those similarities. And now we're actually gonna place them on the same team, on the right side. All right, the time has come. We are gonna check out this new custom colored T-Rex that I ordered, and I actually haven't seen it yet. You can see the tip of the tail right there, so let's go ahead and pull it out. And here it is. All right, it is another custom colored camouflage T-Rex. That is super cool. It's got the bright green on the sides and then brown and black and tan all over the rest of its body. And this one looks to be actually a battle damaged T-Rex, like this bright orange one right over here. And look at that, you can actually turn the battle damage on and off still. And actually this figure seems to be pretty similar in color to this older custom colored camouflage T-Rex. Look at that, they're pretty similar. They both have a lot of the same colors. This is really cool. And instead of having them on the same team, I'm actually gonna put this one on the left team over here so they can face off against each other. Our next figure in this T-Rex versus T-Rex collection is this dark green T-Rex. And this one was actually not custom colored. This is how it came. And comparing the two colors, the custom colored green is a lot brighter than this green. And this T-Rex still has the button on the top of its head for the chomping action. Now let's put this T-Rex on the right team. Let's keep going here. Let's grab this one next. Here is another very natural colored T-Rex. Looks like it's a light gray color on the sides and dark brown on the top. I bet that this T-Rex would blend into rocks or a mountainside really well. Its body is fully posable and it has the button at the top of its head for the chomping action. And this T-Rex is gonna go over on the left team. I've got at least one more bright orange T-Rex figure. This figure is a little bit older. I think it might be from the Fallen Kingdom era. And like that super colossal figure in the back there, it has the bright orange body with the brown on top, and it features the chomping button. Let's move it on over to the right team. Here's another crazy looking custom colored T-Rex. And this figure is actually quite old. I believe it's from the first Jurassic World movie. I believe that this figure used to be a tan color, actually just like this figure right here. These two figures are basically identical, other than the coloring, of course. And they've both got a button on the top of their back for a chomping action, although they don't work too well anymore. Now let's put them on opposing sides. The custom colored T-Rex is gonna go on the left team, and the original tan T-Rex is gonna go on the right team. I've actually got one more T-Rex figure from that same era. This figure is basically the exact same size, although it has different coloring, and this is actually how it came too. So it has the dark green on the body, but it has some reflective gold along the top, and then this interesting design running along its neck and its side too. But coolest of all, it actually has some hidden spikes on its back and its head, so that when you press the chomping action, its spikes spring out too. Now what side should this T-Rex go on? Let's have it go on the right team. Coming up next, we've got a smaller T-Rex figure, and this is actually a model T-Rex that wasn't made by Hasbro or Mattel. It features some brown coloring with the black stripes, and since it's a model, you can't actually move any body parts. And let's put this figure on the left team. This next figure is another model T-Rex, and it has some kind of tiger-like coloring with the orange-yellow body and then those black stripes right on top of that. Let's put this T-Rex model on the right team. Got a few more model T-Rexes in here. This one is a dark green with black striping, and on this model T-Rex, you can actually open and close its jaws. Now let's put this one on the left team right there. And here is one more model T-Rex figure. This one is also brown and black, pretty similar to this T-Rex right here, but it is quite a bit smaller, and on this figure, you can actually open and close its jaw too. Now let's have it go on the right team. Next, let's check out some Lego T-Rex figures. This first one is brown and bright orange. It features a fully posable body and a huge jaw. And this one's gonna go to the left team. Now let's grab that other Lego T-Rex figure that I have in here. This one is a lot darker brown. You can check out the color difference between the two right there. But in shape and size, they're pretty similar. Although I will point out that this one has white teeth, and the teeth on this figure are not colored at all. But nevertheless, let's set this one on the right team. And we're back to the figures made by Mattel. This is the Sound Surge Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. It's smaller than many of these other figures in here, but it has a button on the top of its back to activate the sound effects. Let's see if we have any more room for this T-Rex here. Now here's a wacky looking T-Rex figure. This is a Gujitsu Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it is actually licensed by Jurassic World, so this is an official figure. And the feature of this figure is that it's got a super squishy and super stretchy body. Check out this crazy stretching. All right, now I don't know that this figure is actually gonna stand up, but we're gonna place it on the left team here. I've also got a Funko Pop figure in here. This one is from Jurassic World Dominion, and I really like the all black eyes on this figure. Makes it look really scary. And we're gonna place this on the right team. Right here are some older figures, I believe once again from the first Jurassic World movie. This super bright one is actually a hybrid T-Rex. It is a hybrid with a Dilophosaurus, and it's got the bright neon orange and the reflective gold coloring on its body. So this one is pretty special. So let's place that on the left team right here and check out this other one that is very similar size but not a hybrid T-Rex. So this is the original version, and it's got a little bit of battle damage right on the side. And let's place this right in front of the hybrid T-Rex on the right team. And finally, I've got some tiny T-Rex figures in here. Let's check all of these out. Looks like there's a couple Snap Squad figures in here. This first Snap Squad T-Rex is in the brown-orange coloring with the dark brown on the top. And let's place this on the right side. And then there's also this dark green Snap Squad T-Rex. And I think this T-Rex figure is actually pretty similar in color and design as this one way back there. Look at that, they're basically the same green color. Now let's put this one on the left side here. And for our final two, we've got this crazy looking T-Rex figure. This one's also quite a bit old, so the chomping action doesn't work anymore, sadly. But we'll go ahead and put it on the right team. And then finally, this miniature Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. It is all brown, although its eyes look to be painted black, which is a nice detail. And the underbelly is also painted a lighter tan color. And let's finally put this T-Rex on the left team. And so here is our entire versus battle. We've got the left team of T-Rexes over here versus the right team. Which side do you think would win in a battle? Let me know in the comments below. Welcome to a new Amazing Dinosaurs video. Today we are doing a collection of Jurassic World Dominion versus Camp Cretaceous, and we're going to be setting them up to face off against each other. So why don't we get started with the largest ones. This is the first Jurassic World Dominion figure, and it is a super colossal Atrociraptor. This figure has the white body with the two tones of brown striping and the bright red eyes. And this one's gonna go on the Dominion side. On the Camp Cretaceous side, we've actually got two super colossal figures. This first one is Carnotaurus Toro with the clay red coloring, the two horns on the top of its head, and the battle damage on its nose. The other super colossal figure for Camp Cretaceous is the giant Indominus Rex figure. This one is one of my favorite super colossal figures. It has the all gray body with the orange eyes and these super long teeth. Now let's grab some more. This is the Jurassic World Dominion Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This figure has a larger head than many T-Rexes and a dark brown body. We're gonna put that on the Dominion side. Now let's grab that Camp Cretaceous T-Rex. This is the Epic Roarin' T-Rex. And you can see that it is a much lighter color compared to the Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex. And best of all, has a button that activates its jaw. Let's set this down to face off with the Dominion T-Rex. Back on the Dominion side, we're gonna go with this Giganotosaurus figure. This Giganotosaurus is slightly smaller than the Dominion T-Rex, but it has this awesome spine running along its back and the bright green color all over its body. Check out these action attacks too. And we're gonna set that down right next to the T-Rex. Next for Camp Cretaceous, we're gonna go with the Camp Cretaceous Spinosaurus figure. It features a light brown skin color over most of its body, much like the T-Rex. It also has the red coloring on its face and on its spine, as well as the darker brown on the top. Let's set this down right next to the Camp Cretaceous T-Rex. For Dominion, we're next gonna go with this battle damage Allosaurus figure. This dinosaur is the smallest figure we've seen so far, but the coolest part is the battle damage right on the side that you can open up and show the stomach that's right underneath it. It's pretty gross. Plus, there is a jaw-chopping action too. We're gonna put this right in between the Giganotosaurus and the T-Rex. For Camp Cretaceous, let's go ahead and grab this Scorpius Rex figure. This figure is quite a bit smaller than the Spinosaurus, but still quite large in comparison to many other figures. It features the dark body with the brighter underbelly, and it has two action buttons, one for the jaw and one to slash the arms. And we'll set it down right in between the T-Rex and the Spinosaurus. Next up for Jurassic World Dominion is the Therizinosaurus figure. This dinosaur is actually an herbivore, but it sure looks scary with these huge claws on its hands. And it has a button on its tail for a chomping action. And let's go ahead and set it right next to the Giganotosaurus. For Camp Cretaceous, we're gonna grab this Carnotaurus Toro figure. Now we actually already have a Carnotaurus Toro figure in this collection. It is the super colossal fossil way back here, and you can notice that there's actually quite a bit of difference in the coloring. But it's still pretty awesome, and it has a jaw-chomping action too. And we're gonna place that right next to the Spinosaurus. For Dominion, next is the Spinosaurus dinosaur figure. This figure stands on all four legs and has a spine kind of like the Spinosaurus figure over here on Camp Cretaceous, and you can use the tail to move the head up and down as well as open and close its jaw. Let's place this dinosaur on the front lines of the Dominion side here. For the next Camp Cretaceous, we're gonna grab this Albertosaurus dinosaur figure. As you can see, it's a little bit smaller than the Carnotaurus Toro figure, and it features an all-green body with orange detailing and an attack button on its tail for chomping its jaw. Now let's place it right in front of the Spinosaurus. For Dominion next, we're gonna go with the Scorpio Venator figure. I got this figure pretty recently. I actually have an older version that's colored differently. This one is in a dark brown and orange coloring, and it has an attack that you activate by pressing down on its body. And we're gonna put the Scorpio Venator right there on the Dominion side. This is a Cryolophosaurus for Camp Cretaceous. It's got a dark blue body with some red and white on it. It has adjustable arms and legs and a tail that you can move around to move its head. And let's go ahead and put it right there next to the Albertosaurus. Here is the Sound Surge Indominus Rex figure for Jurassic World Dominion. It is the first Indominus Rex on the Dominion side in this collection, and it has the sound effects that you can activate with the button. Let's put it up right behind the Spinosaurus. This Baryonyx figure is gonna be part of the Camp Cretaceous side. It features the bright green body with some brown along the top of its head and its neck, and it has the slide lever action for sound effects and chomping motion. Now let's put it right next to the Cryolophosaurus. These next two figures for Jurassic World Dominion are both basic figures, so they can't do much. But this first one is an Atrociraptor, pretty similar to the super colossal one we've got in the back here. And we're gonna put it right in the back over here. And this other one is a Pyroraptor figure, which is actually the first of this collection. And we're gonna put that right in front of the Atrociraptor. I've got a big old Stegosaurus figure for Camp Cretaceous. This one features the dark blue-gray coloring with the darker striping along its back. And it has the attack button. When you press down on its spine, it swings its tail. Now let's set this in the back here next to the Carnotaurus figure. Next for Dominion is the Sound Surge T-Rex figure. Just like the Indominus Rex figure back there, it has a sound effect button right on its back. Let's set that way in the back here next to the Atrociraptor. This next figure is the Camp Cretaceous Ceratosaurus figure. It features the classic gray, dark blue, and red detailing for the Ceratosaurus figures, and it has the slide lever action on its back for the sound effects and chomping. Let's put this down right next to the Baryonyx. Here's another Sound Surge figure for Dominion. This is the Carnotaurus version. And compared to the Camp Cretaceous Carnotaurus Toro figure, this one has a lot more simple coloring and design. There's only a little bit of gray detailing on the top of its head, and the rest of its body is just a plain red with a little bit of white underneath its chin. Now let's hear that sound effect as we set it down. For Camp Cretaceous, I've got the Sarcosuchus figure. I believe Mattel has released two versions of this. The other one is a greenish color, but this one is in the bright blue with some brighter detailing along the top of its body and the purple. And it has the tail that can control the head and the jaw. Now let's set this figure up right in front of the Ceratosaurus. And here is our final Sound Surge figure for the Dominion side. This is the Giganotosaurus version. Like the other Sound Surge figures, it's pretty basic in design, although this one does have better detailing and coloring. And of course, it's got the sound effects, so let's hear it. Next up, for Camp Cretaceous, I believe this one is called the Oranosaurus. It features posable legs, tail, and it has this slide lever on its back to activate its head. And we're gonna set it down in the back, right next to the feet of the giant super colossal Indominus Rex. Here is an Iguanodon figure for the Dominion side. This herbivore actually came as a set alongside this Scorpio Venator figure. And it features sound effects and an attack move when you press down on its body. And And we're gonna set it down right here. For Camp Cretaceous, we've got a pretty sizable figure. This is another herbivore, and it is a Sinoceratops. This figure is in the gray with tan detailing and a little bit of yellow along the front of its head. And you can move the tail around to control the head. This is the Ichthyovenator dinosaur for the Dominion side. It's got a green body and a brighter green spine and tail. And like many of the Dominion figures, it has an attack when you press down on its body. Let's go ahead and put this right next to the Giganotosaurus. We're getting down to our last few here. This is a Camp Cretaceous Parasaurolophus figure. It features the yellow body with the purple and reflective pink coloring all over, and you can use its tail to control its head. And we're gonna place it down right next to the Sinoceratops. For Dominion, here is the Hammond Collection Baryonyx figure. It features the classic coloring for Baryonyxes in the dark blue with some gray and then the white striping, and of course is extremely posable all over its body. Now let's set this down right in front of the Giganotosaurus figure. And here is the last Camp Cretaceous figure. This is the Ankylosaurus. There are a few different versions of this Ankylosaurus. This one comes in the bright blue coloring with the yellow underbelly, and it has the slide lever action on its back to swing its tail back and forth. Now let's place this down right in front of the Baryonyx over here. And our final figure in this entire collection, going to the Dominion side, is this Dimetrodon figure. This figure features the dark green brown coloring along its body and then the bright orange and brown spine. And let's go ahead and put that right next to this Ichthyovenator. Now, which side do you think wins this versus competition? The Dominion side or the Camp Cretaceous side? Let me know in the comments below. Today on Amazing Dinosaurs, we are checking out a T-Rex versus Raptor collection, and we're gonna set them up to face off against each other on the table. Let's get started with our first T-Rex. This is the classic Camp Cretaceous T-Rex, and is one of my favorites because of how realistic it looks when you move it. Next, let's grab our first Raptor. Let's go with this huge Dino Trackers Endoraptor. This is actually one of the newest and most recent Endoraptor figures that Mattel has released. And there are the first two facing off. Let's get some more. Next up, let's go with the classic Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex figure. This figure is a whole lot darker than the Camp Cretaceous version, and it might actually be a little bit bigger. For our next Raptor, why don't we go with this big one right here? I believe that this is Velociraptor Blue, and it actually has some pretty cool action features. You can press down on its body for a chomping action, and you can swivel it side to side as if it's walking. All right, let's set that up right in front of the huge Endoraptor. For our next T-Rex, let's go with the huge Stomp and Escape T-Rex. I think this might actually be from Camp Cretaceous as well. And it's got some pretty cool attack buttons. There's a button on its back for the roaring action. Plus, you can twist the tail for stomp sound effects. Let's see, we've got another big raptor in here. Let's go with this next Endoraptor. This is actually a pretty old figure. This is the Grab and Growl Endoraptor. And it's called that because it has a few features. First, you can use this button to move its arms. There's also a button on the bottom of its tail to chomp the jaw. And you can even use the tail to move the head around too. All right, let's put this one pretty close to the other Endoraptor figure. There, he'll be holding on to this little guy. Back to the T-Rexes. Let's grab this guy and see it is a battle damage T-Rex. Check that out right there on the side with a click of a button. You can reveal the battle damage. Plus, the rest of the body is posable as well. Now let's set this one down right next to the Camp Cretaceous T-Rex. There they are facing off with the Raptors. For our next raptor, we're gonna grab this one at the bottom. This is a Utah raptor from Jurassic Park. So this figure is pretty old and actually has a rubber skin texture as opposed to the hard plastic of all the rest of these. And you can even move the claws on its feet up and down. Let's set this one up right next to the Grab and Growl Endoraptor. On to our next T-Rex, we've got a few more huge ones in here. This one, I believe, is from Fallen Kingdom. And this one features a pretty cool chomping action when you move its tail. Check that out just by moving its tail down. And when you move its tail the other way, it actually has a roaring action. Let's see now, let's put this T-Rex right next to the Stomp and Escape. Back to the raptors, let's grab this little one. This is our first Atrociraptor of this collection. And this is actually a Rowdy Roars Atrociraptor. It is actually battery operated and you can get it to walk around. Plus it has some chomping and roaring sound effects. We're gonna set this one up towards the front because it is a bit shorter than the rest of them. Our next T-Rex is a battle damage T-Rex. You can see that it has some battle damage slashes on its chin and on its neck and on other parts of its body too. So it is a battle damage T-Rex like this one, but this one you can turn on and off, and this one is just painted on its body. And so we're gonna put it right next to the other battle damage T-Rex. Looks like we've got a few more Endoraptor figures in this collection. This one is from Fallen Kingdom, so it's pretty old, and it doesn't have any action buttons, but its whole body is very poseable. So let's get them posed, and let's set them right next to the Utah Raptor. For our next T-Rex, we've got a pretty wildly colored one. This one was actually custom colored. Plus, I believe this T-Rex is from the first Jurassic World movie, so you might have some trouble finding it now. Next, let's grab this Atrociraptor figure in the classic white with brown striping, just like in the movie. And this is a basic figure, so sadly there's no action buttons, but it still looks really cool. Let's set it down right next to the other Atrociraptor. Looks like we got one more big T-Rex here. This T-Rex is also from the first Jurassic World movie, so it is pretty old and probably pretty hard to find. And this version has the tan coloring. It's got some gray detailing along its face and the action button on its back for the jaws. All right, here is our final Endoraptor of the collection, I think. This is the basic version of the Endoraptor, so it's a whole lot less posable than many of these other figures right here, and it might actually be a little bit smaller. All right, it looks like it is in the sneaking pose. Check out that gold stripe that switches to a darker brown gold right along its tail. And let's set this up right beside these Atrociraptor figures. Now let's grab this T-Rex figure. This is actually a model T-Rex figure, not made by Mattel, but it still looks really ferocious, has some really cool texturing and color detailing too. And since it's a little bit smaller, let's set it up on the front lines right in front of the Raptors. Over here, we've got a huge Velociraptor blue figure. And just like this Endoraptor figure that we see right here, this is the basic version of Velociraptor blue. So it's not super posable, but it still looks great. Let's set this up right behind the basic Endoraptor. We've got some crazy looking T-Rexes in here. This figure's a bit smaller than all the rest of the T-Rexes, but it still has some amazing coloring. Check out that texturing and the fading from the yellow to the green. Let's set this one down right behind the first model T-Rex figure. Back to our Raptors, we've got another Velociraptor blue figure, but this one is from the Amber collection, so this one is super posable, and it's even got some glowing gold eyes. That's a really cool feature. So why don't we set this one up right next to the basic Velociraptor blue figure. Look at the differences in the coloring and the texturing compared to the basic version right here. On to our next T-Rex figure. We've got a blue and gold T-Rex figure right here, and it's even got some bright teal coloring right around its eyes too. I think this figure might be the smallest T-Rex yet, so let's set this one up right in front. Let's go ahead and grab these other two Amber collection Velociraptors. There's first Velociraptor Charlie in the bright green coloring with the striping along the top and a headpiece right behind its face. Let's set this raptor down right in front of the Amber Collection Velociraptor Blue. And then there's Velociraptor Echo in the brown and black coloring with the lighter underbelly. And so let's set this Velociraptor up right in front of the others. Looks like we've got a few small T-Rexes in here. This is an older figure from the first Jurassic World movie. It's got a little battle damage on the side and a tail that controls the mouth. Now this is a little itty bitty T-Rex, so we're gonna put it right up front. And here is our last raptor of this collection. It looks like it's an Atrociraptor in the white with brown striping, just like this basic version right here. And so we're gonna set it up right in front, really close to the other T-Rex. And here is our final dinosaur. This is a green T-Rex from the first Jurassic World movie. Just like the other miniature T-Rex that we see right here, it's got the battle damage on the side, and you can use the tail to open and close the mouth, as well as move the neck. So let's set this down right in front, next to the other T-Rex. But wait, I've actually got a surprise for you. I've actually bought some new stuff to show in this collection. This first one is a custom colored T-Rex that I just ordered off of eBay. This is my first time seeing it, and I love the attention to detail with the coloring. It really looks lifelike. Plus, it looks like there's a whole lot more battle damage than there normally was on this figure. That is really cool. And look at that, there's even some more battle damage on the other side. All right, that is super cool. I definitely want to be getting more custom painted T-Rexes. And let's not forget, for the raptor side, I just bought an uncaged Rowdy Roars Velociraptor beta figure. Now let's power it up and check it out. Just like the Rowdy Roar figure back there, there's a button at the top of the head. You get some chomping and sound effects. And you can also touch it underneath its chin to make it walk. Today we're going to be checking out a collection of some of my scariest carnivore dinosaurs from biggest to smallest, and we're going to be putting them up over here to check them out side by side. So let's get started with the biggest one, the Indominus Rex. This figure is absolutely massive. It is larger than a lot of my T-Rex figures, and this is actually the battle damage edition. See, it turns red when you press the button, which is really cool. Plus, the rest of the body is very adjustable. You can move all its arms, its legs, you can adjust its neck, and it even has a button on its tail to activate the jaw. So let's go ahead and set the Indominus Rex down at the edge right over here. Moving on, let's see what the next largest dinosaur is. Probably the Giganotosaurus. This is another super large figure. It's got the green body with the black detailing all over, and it has a few actions actually as well. The first action is a button on the top of its tail that activates the swinging action with its entire upper torso. And there's also a button beneath its tail to activate just the jaw alone. All right, let's put this Giganotosaurus down right next to the Indominus Rex. And look at the size difference even between those two as well. That's pretty crazy. All right, next up, let's see. I bet it's one of the T-Rexes, and it's probably the Hammond Collection Tyrannosaurus Rex figure. This figure has some awesome coloring and shading and is the most posable out of basically all my T-Rex figures. And an interesting feature of the Hammond collection is the realistic parts of its mouth. It's got these flaps on its side that are rubber, so they actually move around pretty realistically. The tongue is also rubberized as well. Let's put this Hammond collection T-Rex right next to the Giganotosaurus. All right, I bet the next biggest one is this other T-Rex figure. This is a Jurassic World Dominion T-Rex. It's got some brand new coloring. It's got the orange-brown color and some gray detailing on the top. And this is actually an extreme battle damage T-Rex. You can press the button to reveal the damage on its side, just like that Indominus Rex over there. So, since this is the next biggest T-Rex, let's put it down right next to the Hammond Collection T-Rex. All right, looking pretty good so far. Next up in size is this Allosaurus figure from Jurassic World Dominion. This is the largest Allosaurus figure that I have, and it actually has some battle damage on the side. Let me show you that. Right here, you see it's hidden completely right now, but then you can click it down to reveal the ribs, and then you can even lift those up to reveal the intestines inside.
This is really cool and the only Allosaurus that I have that can do that. Plus, it has an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Let's put this Allosaurus down right next to the extreme battle damage T-Rex. Let's see, what's next biggest in size? I think it might be this Endoraptor right here. This thing's pretty large. It's got the all black body with the iconic gold stripe down its side. And this one actually has a few actions. You can see there's a little button on its tail right there to activate its arms. And there's a button at the bottom of its tail to activate its jaw too. All right, let's set this Endoraptor down next to the Allosaurus. That Allosaurus is quite a bit larger. All right, let's keep digging. I think this Carnotaurus might be the next largest size. It's got some battle damage on its nose, and it is the darker brown version of the Carnotaurus. And it has the action button on its tail to activate the jaw as well. Let's set it down. You know what? I think it might be larger than the Endoraptor, so let's go ahead and have them switch places real quick. There we go, that's looking better. Over here we've got another Carnotaurus figure, but this one is smaller than the one that I just showed you, and it is a bit more brightly colored. It's a brighter red, it has the light underbelly, and then the black detailing on the top, and it has an action button on its back instead of its tail to activate the jaw. All right, let's set it down. Right next to the Endoraptor. Let's see, I think the next biggest carnivore in this collection is a Tarbosaurus. And this is definitely a scary looking carnivore. Check out that red underneath its chin and those red eyes too. And all those spikes, those are massive. Let's put this down right next to the Carnotaurus. Check out all those dinosaurs we have so far. Super cool. All right, let's see, next in size, maybe this other Allosaurus figure right here. This Allosaurus has a slide lever action on its back, so you get a bunch of different sound effects with it. You can get a growl all the way to a roar. All right, let's set this dinosaur down right next to the Tarbosaurus. And it is quite a bit smaller than the Tarbosaurus. Next up, I think, is the Giganotosaurus. This is the Sound Surge Giganotosaurus, so a whole lot smaller than the one that we saw earlier, but it has the same coloring and detailing, and it has sound effects that you can hear that you can activate by pressing this button up top. All right, let's set it down right next to the Allosaurus. They're actually pretty similar in size, so it might be a little hard to tell who's larger, but I think it's still the Allosaurus. Next, I think, is a Pyroraptor figure. This is the new Jurassic World Dominion version, and it is the basic version as well, so you can't open and close the jaw, but you can move the arms, the legs, and the tail a bit. Let's set this down right next to the smaller Giganotosaurus figure. Next up in size in the Scary Carnivore collection is the Megaraptor. This thing has some super bright coloring. You can tell that it is a feathered dinosaur. You can see some feathers on its legs, on its tail, on its arms. It's pretty cool. So let's set this down right next to the Megaraptor. Next up is this slightly smaller Endoraptor, a bit smaller than the earlier version that we saw, but it has the same coloring, and this one actually does not have any action buttons, but it is superposable. Let's put this down next to the Megaraptor. Next in size, we've got the basic Atrociraptor figure from Jurassic World Dominion. This has the white body with the brown striping all over and those bright red eyes. Let's put this down next to the smaller Endoraptor. Here is an Amber Collection Velociraptor. I can't remember which Velociraptor this is, but it has the brown coloring with the darker striping all over its body. Looks like we're running out of room on the edge there, so we're gonna create a new row right up in front here. Next is this much smaller Indominus Rex figure. This is an earlier version of the Indominus Rex compared to this one way over here on the edge, and look at that size difference too. And actually, I think this smaller Indominus Rex has a slightly more blue tone than the super large one. It's pretty cool. Let's put this down right next to the Amber Collection Velociraptor. For the next smallest scary carnivore, I've actually got this brand new one from Jurassic World Dominion. This one I believe is pronounced Aquilnosaurus. Let's open it up. So this is a pretty interesting looking dinosaur, and it's actually an extreme battle damage edition that you can see on the sides. Just click this button, and there you go, you reveal the damage underneath. Plus you can pose its neck, and I think you can even open and close its mouth too. There we go, that's pretty cool. Let's put this down next to the Indominus Rex. The next up in size of scary carnivores is this extreme battle damage Pyroraptor. Just like the dinosaur that we just saw, there's a button on top that activates the battle damage. Plus, the rest of its body is posable as well. And check out the size difference from this Pyroraptor to this basic Pyroraptor right there. A huge difference in size. Let's put it down right up front here. All right, now we're getting down to the really small ones. Here is a super small Atrociraptor figure. It has the same color as the basic Atrociraptor that we saw earlier, but is a whole lot smaller. So let's put this right next to the Pyroraptor. And I've actually got one more Atrociraptor figure in here with totally different coloring. This one is a bright orange with tan stripes on its body, and it's got some yellow, evil looking eyes. So let's put this right next to the smaller Atrociraptor right in front. And it looks like we've got a few Velociraptor figures in here. This first one is Velociraptor Blue with the iconic blue striping down both sides of its body. So let's put Velociraptor Blue right next to the orange Atrociraptor. And this other Velociraptor that I've got in here is a brown and yellow Velociraptor. It's pretty similar to Velociraptor Blue, but different coloring, and it's got some reflective green eyes. That's pretty cool. Let's set this one down. And finally, I've got some super small Jurassic World scary carnivore figures in here. Let's put these on the table and check them out one by one. I think the first largest is probably this Baryonyx. I think it's a Baryonyx figure. It's all green in color, so not a whole lot of difference with the coloring, but it's got a decent amount of texturing. Let's put this next to the larger Velociraptor. Next up in size, let's see, I think is probably this Velociraptor figure. This one has two different colors on it, even though it's so small. Oh no, actually three. It's got a pink tongue and the two tones of gray on its body. That's pretty cool. Let's put it down next to the Baryonyx. Next up is the Carnotaurus figure. I got this one pretty recently in a pack, and you can actually open and close its mouth. Let's set this one down here. And last of all is this Baryonyx figure that actually came in the same pack as this little Carnotaurus. Let's put them side by side, and it is a bit smaller. All right, we're finished.
Want to see more dino videos? Click the subscribe button now.